Hello, Dr. Derek. Good evening.
Recording in progress.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Greetings and welcome to each and everyone. This is Deep Dive Globally Changing Lives. And today is Thursday, March 13, 2025. And we are starting our webinar now with a signature tune, In It to Win It, by Queen Lerato Shadari. Thank you very much, and I'll call on Dr. Derek to play In It to Win It.
Your next stop is ONPASSIVE.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Derek. Stand clear the closing doors. Wow, medical imaging. That's what I saw, some of the images in the non-verbal communication of In It to Win It. Thank you so much. At this stage, we're moving to the mindset. We know, especially on this platform and its sister platforms, how important the mindset is. And we work on 80% of it, and 20% of it is the physical aspect of it that is promised to us by our CEO, and the mental aspect, we worked on it by ourselves. Our mindset speaker for today is none other than Queen JW. We know her as a grandma who loves to be here with us on a weekly basis. She is an entrepreneur, an inspirational speaker, and a talk show host. She is going to continue a talk that she started last week about having a healthy cardiovascular, how to avoid having cardiovascular problems. So if you missed part one, this is your opportunity to catch up on this segment that she's sharing with us today. Queen JW, thank you so much for gracing us with your presence every week and to inspire us. The microphone is yours, sis. Thanks for the beautiful smile.
Thank you so much, Queen Debbie. Thank you for the introduction. Thank you for your presence. Thank you for your host. Thank you for your love that you share with us all the time. Thank you for caring. Thank you for showing up. And I just want to thank each and every Dr. Derek for allowing us to speak on our platform where we empower, we enhance each other, we love on each other, we help each other. So it's amazing. And also Mr. Ash Mafara for allowing us to go along with him on his journey. No matter how long it takes, ONPASSIVE is here to stay. And then we have to thank our Heavenly Father for making it all possible, that we're all here together, helping each other. And that's what he wants anyway. And I want to thank the brand ambassadors / affiliates for showing up, for your support, for believing in ONPASSIVE, for hanging in there, and for your patience. I welcome each and every one of you. Yes, my name is Jacqueline Warner, and I will be discussing the types of cardiovascular problems, symptoms, causes, and natural remedies. Because last week I gave a little introduction of some of them, but I'm going to give a little brief info regarding each and every one of them. Of course, you know that the human heart is a vital organ and is responsible for pumping the blood throughout the body. So tonight I'm going to be talking about the different types because I mentioned them last week, but I didn't get into any of them. So starting with number one is the pericarditis. That is inflammation of the pericardium. And the symptoms that you get from pericarditis is chest pain, sharp stabbing, fever, fatigue, and difficulty breathing. And what the causes are viral infections, autoimmune disease, and heart attack. And the natural remedies are usually is anti-inflammatory diet, like turmeric, ginger, like Dr. Paul talked about, that turmeric, and hydration, stress management. And the second one is endocarditis. It's also is an infection of the heart's inner lining. The symptoms, fever, chills, fatigue, shortness also of breath, and swollen limbs. Causes, bacterial infection, poor dental hygiene. You know, sometimes people think, oh, what my teeth have to do with this? It has a lot, and we talk about that a couple of webinars back. Dental health and how important it is, because whatever is at the top has to go to the bottom. Okay. Autoimmune disease, weakening immune system. And the natural remedies are garlic, which is a natural antimicrobial, echinacea, proper oral care, that's very important. And the third one is cardiomyopathy. That's a heart muscle disease, actually. And the symptoms are also fatigue, dizziness, that shortness of breath, and swelling in the legs. What the causes are genetic factors like high blood pressure and chronic alcohol use. Natural remedies is CQ10, magnesium, hawthorn berry, and regular exercise. The next one is number 4 is cardiac arrhythmia. That's an irregular heartbeat. And the symptoms are palpitations, dizziness, fainting, chest discomfort, and the causes is electrolyte imbalance, stress, and heart disease. Natural remedies is omega-3 fatty acids, meditation, magnesium-rich foods. Number 5 is angina pectoris. That's chest pain due to reduced blood flow. And symptoms are pressure or tightness in the chest, nauseousness, shortness of breath again. What are the causes? Coronary artery disease, stress, and smoking. Natural remedies, nitric oxide boosting foods like beets, leafy greens, and deep breathing exercises. And the number 6 is congestive heart failure. Now that's the heart inability to pump blood efficiently. Symptoms are swelling in the legs again, shortness of breath, and a persistent cough. Causes again is high blood pressure, a previous heart attack, and diabetes. Natural remedies is you must have a low sodium diet, a potassium rich foods, and moderate physical activity. Number 7 is the heart palpitations, and that means the heart is beating fast, and it's also in regular heartbeats. Symptoms, the fluttering sensation, pounding heartbeat, and dizziness. The causes, caffeine, anxiety, dehydration, and thyroid issues. Natural remedies, avoid caffeine, increase your hydration, practice relaxation techniques. Okay, so those are those 7 types of heart conditions or cardiovascular issues. Now, what to do immediately if you have a heart attack? And I know I promised that last week, so I'm bringing it to you this week. A heart attack, which is a myocardial infraction, it occurs when the blood flow to the heart is blocked, and immediate action can save our lives or your life. Well, number 1, the first thing we do is we will call for emergency 911 or your local emergency service immediately. Do not attempt to drive yourself. Wait for medical professionals. Number 2, chew and swallow aspirin. Unless you're allergic, not recommended then. But an aspirin of the dosage is 325 milligrams. It helps to thin the blood, reduce the damage, and chew for faster absorption. Number 3, take nitroglycerin if prescribed. It helps open the arteries and it reduces the heart strain. Number 4, stay calm and rest. Sit down, avoid exertion, and take slow, deep breaths. You can perform the cough CPR. It's not recommended. Admit forceful coughing can restart the heart. Reality, no scientific support. Only trained professionals should perform a CPR. If the person becomes unresponsive, you got to start the CPR. You push the heart fast, 100 to 120 beats per minute in the center of the chest. Also, Dr. J.B. Kellogg, MD, prescription for threatening cardiac failure. Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, a pioneer in natural health, recommended several approaches to manage a threatening cardiac failure. The first one was hydrotherapy, cold compress to the chest to stimulate circulation, a hot foot bath to draw the blood from the heart. Number two, dietary measures, a vegetarian diet rich in fruits and vegetables. Avoid stimulants, caffeine, alcohol, and tobacco. Number three, herbal nutritional support. Hawthorn berry for heart strength, garlic and onion to lower blood pressure, magnesium and potassium to support heart rhythm. Number four, breathing and lifestyle adjustment. Deep control diaphragmatic breathing. That means, from the chest. And so you see your diaphragm go in and you go out. You can watch it. Regular and moderate exercise to strengthen the heart. Rest, number five, rest and stress management. Adequate sleep and relaxation to prevent overstrain. Avoid emotional stress, as stress worsen your heart condition, okay? And we got some biblical encouragement for heart health and healing. In times of heart trouble, whether physical or emotional, God offers peace, He offers strength and hope. And here are powerful Bible verses to encourage those facing cardiovascular challenges. And that is trust in God in a crisis. We got to trust God more. God is our refuge and strength and a very present help in trouble. That's Psalm 46, verse 1. Do not be anxious about anything. And our Heavenly Father tells us about that already. Do not be anxious, because these things bring a strain on our heart. It weakens the muscle because we overthinking, we're not sure, we're doubtful, and all those things cause anxiety. But in everything, he said, by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And that's Philippians 4:6. Strength for the weary heart. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint. And that's Isaiah 40, verse 31. And my flesh and my heart may fail, but God is the strength of my heart and my portion forever. Psalm 76:26. And that's just some of them that I shared with you this evening. So I hope this information will help us to be knowledgeable and help us to also use the natural remedies, or we could share them with others, and we can start using those things before we even get to have a heart attack. That's what's so good about it. We could keep our heart muscles strengthened. We could we don't have to be anxious about anything. We know when we get anxiety that we need to take some deep breathing and we need to just relax. Take a moment and say, I'm just gonna relax right now. That's it. Don't let things stress you out. Instead, turn to a prayer. Find a scripture that you love and just repeat it. Repeat it till you feel that comfort, that peace that flows flow out of you, actually, from within. So I thank you so much for your listening ear, and I appreciate each and every one of you. And this is Jacqueline Warner. Done.
Queen JW.
Yes,
you're becoming the deep dive cardiologist of the year. Thank you so much for your research. Very much appreciated.
Thank you.
Boy, I learned quite a lot, staying calm and avoiding caffeine, avoiding stress. That will give you a healthier heart. Thank you.
Yes.
Very much appreciate that. And yeah, boy. Yes, we got that from you. And you're trained by the best. Dr. T, thank you. Because I know what anyone, being a public speaker is not an easy thing. Anyone who takes it for granted, don't even think about it. It's not easy for anybody to sit in a group, be it 2, 3, or 4 people, and you're willing to talk and let others accept what they're sharing. And you do it here on a regular basis. We don't take it for granted. Thank you for sharing your time. Very much appreciated. We're going to move to the next speaker, who is the presenter for the day, and then any comments for Queen JW and for our speaker, who is returning as well, will be shared after Dr. Paul Hissin speaks. Dr. Paul is here this week with us for the 3rd time. He is no stranger to us, so we're seeing him for the 3rd time because he was here 2 weeks ago, and he's doing a continuation of what he started. And I think he was talking about stress. Let me see where I have that. But regardless, understanding chronic and stress acute. Thank you so much for coming back to us again this week, Brother Paul, or I should say Dr. Hissin. I don't know. We call you, you have a lot of titles that we're giving you. Yes, we do know who he is. He has a PhD and has 4 years at the NIH, 4 years at Mount Sinai Hospital in New York. He's also a licensed clinical specialist, and he has 30 years plus experience, including teaching. He also is an author, and his book, from the flyer, you can see that there, it's available on Amazon. So it's possible and necessary for us to help to understand where he's coming from, to get a copy of his book, and it will help us even to understand his lecture when he shares with us on this platform. So please, let's welcome our brother, Dr. Paul Hissin, as he does his 3rd presentation with us this evening. Thank you, brother. The microphone is yours.
Well, thank you very much for the talk that Jacqueline mentioned. It's unbelievable. The current science shows that genetically only 3% were affected by disease. About 85% of it is lifestyle, our lifestyle, sleep, exercise, the diet, stress. It is so important for cardiovascular disease. So I hope everybody is all right tonight. And I'm very glad to come back and share with you the continuation of how to build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression through the Total Transformation Program. And now I like to share my screen. And I hope I succeed. Do you see my screen?
Yes, we do.
Great. Do I start now or when the music stops?
No, this is your time, Dr. Paul.
Okay. Today's presentation is understanding stress and acute chronic. Stress, acute and chronic. Yeah, last time we spoke, you can hear me, right?
Yes, we can.
Right, okay.
You're audible.
Yeah, last time we talked about how to build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression through the total transformation. And hope you understand And I hope you understand.
You're going in and out, Dr. Paul.
No, I am listening. I hear somebody else speaking. Can you hear me, or can you hear the other people?
We can hear you perfectly well. The only person we're hearing is you. If you're hearing other voices, it may be from your device. We hear you clear, loud and clear.
Oh, I see. I see. Just a moment. Oh, yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. So last time we talked about how to build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression through the total transformation. And the emphasis is how to build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression through total transformation. You need to learn and master first total transformation. And after we understand and master the total transformation program, then we can build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression. Last time we talked about the total transformation program. Let me just briefly review it again. The total transformation program consists of 5 pillars. Pillar 1 is how to have the right mindset. Pillar 2, how to know how to communicate with your conscious mind, thinking mind. Pillar 3, how to understand the subconscious mind so that you can replace your habits. And pillar 4, how to have the right personal attributes. And if you master all 4 pillars, then you'll be able to build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression. So basically, it is how to build mental resilience and how to build social resilience. Both of these are internal powers, and when you are strong internally, then you will be unstoppable. These are internal powers. If you are strong internally, then you can overcome any external challenge. How to build mental resilience? We talked about pillar 1, how to have the right mindset. That means you can have a can-do attitude where you believe you can achieve anything you put your mind to. And if you do that, then you can communicate with your conscious mind to achieve whatever you want, and that will be through the mental success formula. How to achieve whatever you want. And third, how to understanding the conscious mind so that you can replace the old habits and limiting beliefs to what you want now and become an unconscious competent. And you do that through the mental success formula, which is basically the mental processes that constitute the thinking process. These are the mental processes that are in the mental success formula, which we discussed last time. You all can do those. And therefore, if you know what you want and have the mindset, the can-do attitude mindset, then you will proceed and you will do the mental success formula. And by doing the mental success formula, that thought that you want will enter your mind, and your mind will inspire you to get the needed knowledge. You learn it, you organize it, and therefore you can get anything you want and do anything you want. This is how you can achieve anything. And if you continue to think about what's in your conscious mind, if you continue to think about it, focus on it, imagine it, and you must apply emotion. Emotion is very important. It's energy in motion. That thought, which is from the conscious mind, will transfer to the subconscious mind, and then you will replace the old paradigm, old limiting beliefs to new habits, and you become unconscious competent. This is how you can achieve any goal that you want. Next, you need to build social resilience, and you do that by having the right personal attributes, and we talked about that last time. I did not discuss it too much. Maybe I'll come back some other time and discuss them. Personal attributes are very, very important. So again, you will have the mental resilience, the social resilience, and you will be unstoppable. Now, I showed you this slide many times. I believe in repetition, so I hope now you have it all memorized. And now you can build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression. Now, again, we started with the Total Transformation Program, how to build mental resilience, social resilience. Now you can do anything. Mentally, you can think about anything, and socially, you can deal with any people and environment. And now you are unstoppable. Now, today, we will talk about understanding stress, acute and chronic. And next time, I will be talking about the tools that mental health professionals use and how does that compare with the Total Transformation Program in treating stress, anxiety, and depression. So this is the program. Now, understanding stress, acute and chronic. Why would you want to learn what is stress? Identify it and learn how to deal with it. Because when you think of stress, that is the picture that I want you to think about and memorize. Because if you don't take care of stress, acute stress, that will progress into chronic stress, into chronic anxiety, into acute depression and chronic depression, and then you end up with all of these debilitating conditions. And we will talk about this. This is the point of the whole session. I want you will remember this very good. You need to understand and prevent acute stress so that it does not progress to other debilitating disease. We encounter stress all the time, all kinds of ways. If you don't take care of it, if stress remains, if it is not removed, then stress is going to become chronic stress. And if you don't take care of chronic stress, as I will explain, that if this is continuous, that is going to come to acute anxiety. And if you don't take care of acute anxiety, if it is continuous and the intensity is increased, as I will explain later, that will become chronic anxiety. And chronic anxiety becomes acute depression, and acute depression becomes chronic depression. And now you end up with all these debilitating conditions. So as you progress, as it is step by step, it increases, we can take care of initial stress. So acute stress, removing the stress is important. But what is important is to prevent the stress from controlling us in the first place. I.e., we need to build the resilience against stress before stress happens, so that we will always be resilient and not having stress control us at any time. It is imperative that we know how to master the total transformation so that we can build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression. It is important that we know how to master the mental resilience and the social resilience so that we can build resilience against stress, anxiety, and depression. And again, this is the slide again. If you build mental resilience and social resilience, these are inner power, you'll be unstoppable. So what is stress? Let me talk about acute stress and then chronic stress. Acute stress, it's like an alarm clock. We set it at a certain time and it will go off when the time is reached. And when we turn it off, the alarm stops. But if we do not turn it off, or the alarm clock is defective, the clock will continue to sound the alarm. It's also exactly like a smoke detector. If there is fire and smoke, the smoke detector will sound the alarm. But when the fire is out and the smoke is gone, the alarm shuts off. But if the smoke detector is defective, or you cannot control the fire or smoke, like in California, the smoke detector will continue to sound the alarm. Stress is exactly like the clock and smoke detector. In the presence of a threat, the body sounds the alarm and starts the fight or flight process to protect us. When the threat is removed, the body calms down. But if the stressor is not removed and remains, then bad things happen. The good news is we all have the power to prevent and deal with any threat, as well as reverse whatever happens. All you need is to know how. So acute stress is a natural alarm. We need it for survival, otherwise we would have been extinct. So stress is a good thing. If we do not turn it off, then that becomes chronic stress. Not a good thing. It causes a lot of damage to our brain and physical body. So the objective of today's talk is not only to make you understand what is stress, but more importantly, to tell you that you can turn it off, i.e. prevent it, and show you the steps to turn it off, i.e. prevent it. Otherwise, stress is going to continue to progress to acute stress, then chronic anxiety, and acute and chronic depression. And that is exactly what you will end up with, and that is exactly what you want to avoid, because this is bad. You end up with, at the end, you end up with no feeling, numbness, hopelessness, helplessness, no pleasure, sadness. Life is not worth it. Now, what happens when a threat or a stressor is detected? And all what I'm going to mention now takes in millisecond to a second. I mean, you must have awe at our bodies, what the body can do. So please do not pay attention and get bogged down with the many names I'm going to mention now. Just follow the amazing story of what happens to our body. The objective is for you to see the number of mental and physical organs, hormones, and physiological steps that are involved in a stressful event and the speed it happens. So it should be avoided at all costs. Stress should be avoided at all costs. Otherwise, it could lead to debilitating conditions. So now, again, what happens when a threat is stressor or stressor is detected? And now I want you to just pay attention to this picture because I'm going to be referring to it. The prefrontal cortex is at the beginning of your head, right behind your forehead. And then in the middle of the brain, you have right above the brainstem, you have the thalamus, you have the hypothalamus, you have the amygdala, and you have the pituitary gland. So if you keep this picture in mind, let's now discuss it. Now, for the next couple of minutes, I'm going to be throwing at you a lot of names and very fast. So I hope I don't lose you. Just be patient, and then I will explain it in a very simpler way. So the first thing that happens is there is sensory detection. Detecting the threat by the senses, that is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, and touching. So the thalamus is the first to receive information from the senses. The thalamus sends this information along two pathways. The first pathway to the amygdala, and the amygdala is the center for fear and emotions. It receives crude, unfiltered sensory data before the brain fully processes that information, and I will explain. I want you to keep in mind that a subconscious mind is very fast, The speed of the subconscious mind is 400 billion bits per second. I can't imagine it. I'm sure nobody can imagine it. The amygdala errs on the side of caution. When it hears that there is a threat, if the amygdala perceives a threat, it immediately signals the hypothalamus. The second pathway that it goes is to the prefrontal cortex, and I will explain. The sensory input also goes to the prefrontal cortex for rational assessment. The prefrontal cortex is in the conscious mind, the thinking mind, and it performs the following. It performs rational thinking, deductive reasoning, critical thinking, decision-making, imagination, innovation, creativity. This is where thinking takes place, in the conscious mind, in the prefrontal cortex. But the speed of the conscious mind is only 2,000 bits per second versus the subconscious mind 400 billion bits per second. The PFC, the prefrontal cortex, takes longer to evaluate whether the threat is real or not. So the prefrontal cortex is considered the CEO, the executive center. If it determines that there is no real threat, remember, the thalamus sends the threat, amygdala and prefrontal cortex. The amygdala is very fast. The amygdala takes action immediately. It doesn't know any better. It is the center for fear and emotion. The prefrontal cortex thinks, it's going to evaluate, is this threat for real or not for real? If it determines that there is no real threat, it can override the amygdala response and calm the system down. So here, again, we see the amygdala here. That's the thalamus. It's coming from here to the amygdala. The amygdala sends a response to the hypothalamus, and the prefrontal cortex, now we will see that it could also communicate with the hypothalamus. So now the amygdala triggers the hypothalamus. The amygdala is the fear and emotion center, as I said, making a very split decision, a split-second decision. Is this a threat? Again, it errs on the side of caution. If yes, it immediately signals the hypothalamus, which controls the autonomic nervous system. All right? Now, the hypothalamus activates the SNS, the central nervous system, for immediate action. So the hypothalamus sends via the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system immediately activates the adrenal gland, which is above the kidneys, to release adrenaline, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. This leads to the fight or flight response, which you've all heard about. And that will increase heart rate, will increase the rate, the heart rate increases to pump oxygen and glucose to the muscle. It makes the lung expand, bronchodilation, increases oxygen intake, increases blood vessels, constrict, it's vasoconstriction. It causes the digestive system to slow down because it needs energy. I will explain that later. And it also causes the immune system to be suppressed because it needs the energy. Step 4 is if the threat is confirmed. Remember, one of the messages went to the prefrontal cortex to determine if it is real or not. If the threat is confirmed and remains, the hypothalamus activates the HPA, which is the hypothalamus pituitary adrenal axis, to sustain the response. I will explain all that. The hypothalamus releases a hormone to the pituitary. The pituitary is the center for hormone regulation, and the pituitary releases ACTH, and ACTH goes to the adrenal to release cortisol. Now, cortisol does so many things. First, it goes to the liver, and it activates the liver so that it will break down glycogen. In good times, the liver accumulates sugar in the form of glycogen, so that in situation like this, an emergency, we have a ready-made source of glucose, of sugar, so that we can dissolve it and use it for emergency. And now cortisol will go and dissolve that glycogenolysis, which breaks down glycogen to provide glucose for energy. It goes to the muscle until it slows down. Don't use a lot of glucose. It also goes to the digestive system. It slows down the digestive system because when you have a threat, when you have an emergency, you're not going to be eating anything. So you don't need the digestive system. And the digestive system uses a lot of energy. It tells it to slow down because we need that energy. The same thing with the immune system. And I will talk about this a little bit later. So cortisol at the end, it goes to the brain and it enhances the amygdala reactivity to keep you alert. And it suppresses the prefrontal cortex, making it harder to think rationally. I will explain all that in a minute. Number 6, if the threat passes, if the stressor is gone, the recovery via the parasympathetic nervous system. Once the danger is gone, the parasympathetic nervous system restores balance and homeostasis. So everything reverses. Cortisol and adrenaline level goes down, the heart rate slows down, breathing slows down, digestion resumes, and the immune system returns to normal. If the stressor persists, then stress goes to chronic stress. So chronic stress will lead to anxiety. If you go to chronic stress, then that could lead to anxiety and depression, as I showed you before. If stress does not stop, the body remains in chronic stress mode, leading persistent high cortisol, which will lead to more anxiety, insomnia, and weight gain. Prefrontal cortex shrinks, then you will have poor decision making. The amygdala continue to be overactive. It will increase fear more, and you'll be agitated. Chronic immune suppression, that will cause inflammation. And digestive issue, you will have ulcers, you have stomach ache and nausea, and burnout, fatigue, and depression. So going from stress to chronic anxiety, that's what I want you to understand. Going from, if you don't take care of acute stress, when it goes to anxiety to chronic stress, anxiety, and depression, all of these bad things happen. Now, the next 2 slides is going to be just telling you exactly what happened, which will be a lot of information that will confuse you. Let me give you a metaphor that will explain everything that I mentioned, but in an easier way. Let's say you and your significant other are taking a stroll, a walk in your beautiful little town. And all of a sudden, you see an 18-wheeler coming at you. When you see it, as soon as you see it, the thalamus is going to recognize that you saw that. It's going to tell the amygdala, we have a threat. The amygdala is going to start screaming. Threat, danger. That is going to go to the hypothalamus. And the hypothalamus is going to immediately, because the hypothalamus controls the central nervous system, and you have nerves every place. So that will immediately go to the adrenal and tell it, hey, give us some adrenaline. Adrenaline will be released. It will go to the lung. It will tell, we need oxygen. It will go to the blood. Hey, start pumping harder. It will go to the artery, vasoconstrict, so that we can send the blood to the muscle. Cortisol will go to the liver, produces glucose, and now we have oxygen and glucose in the blood, and now everything is going to the muscle. When you get to the muscle say, hey, I'm ready to do action, but I need more energy. So cortisol goes to the digestive tract and tell it, hey, why don't you take a break, give us some of your blood, we need some energy. So we send energy to the muscle. Then the muscle says, hey, I need more energy. So cortisol goes to the immune system and say, hey, why don't you take a break? The immune system says, I cannot take a break because then you'll be vulnerable to disease. He says, no, we have a threat now. So he takes some of the energy from the immune system and it brings it to the muscle. Now the muscle have everything. He have oxygen, he have glucose, and he have all the energy. So he looks at the man, he said, okay, now I am ready. What do you want to do? Fight or flight? So the man looks at his wife and he says, well, let's fight this thing. So the wife looks at him and says, how are you going to fight an 18-wheeler? Are you crazy? And then she looks at the 18-wheeler and she sees it coming right at them. So she gets an adrenaline rush. She picks up her 300-pound husband and throws him outside the street. And then the 18-wheeler passes. So in this case, is stress good or bad? Stress saved the day. Stress saved the day. And that is acute stress. When the stressor is removed, everything calms down. Then the parasympathetic nervous system yells to the amygdala, hey, slow down, everything is calm, and that's it. Now, let's discuss the chronic stress. Let's say this woman wants to send her little boy to school. And when the boy goes to school, he spends the day and he's running home happy. And these four losers stop him, bullies him, beats him up. So what happened, what I mentioned before, when stress, he's going to be stressed. He's going to have all that stress things that happened before in the first metaphor is going to happen now. So he goes home. The next day, the same thing happens. The boys hit him again. And the same day, and the same day, and the same thing happens. That is chronic stress. If nobody stops the beating, he is going to have chronic stress. And if that continues for a year or two, then he's not going to even see those boys. Every time he sees boys like them, he's going to think they're going to beat him. That is chronic stress. And that is the difference between acute stress, chronic stress. And if that continues, then it will go into anxiety and so forth. So again, what is chronic stress? The natural alarm, it's a natural alarm system. It's like a smoke detector. Without stress, we will be extinct. So the definition of acute stress is the body's immediate response to a perceived threat, challenge, or demand. It activates the fight or flight response, causing physiological and psychological changes such as increased heart rate, rapid breath, muscle tension, and heightened alertness. Unlike chronic stress, which is long-term, acute stress is short-term, typically resolving once the triggering event has passed. The characteristic of acute stress, sudden onset due to a specific event, short duration, minutes to hours, rarely beyond a day, strong psychological response, adrenaline, cortisol surge. You have immediate emotional impact, such as anxiety, panic, or fear, and resolved once the stressor is removed. I have few scenarios that I can go. For example, scenario one, in your car accident. Imagine you are driving on the highway and suddenly another car swerves into your lane. You slam on the brakes, narrowly avoiding a collision. Your heart pounds, palm sweats, and breathing becomes rapid. You feel shaky even after the danger was past. The explanation is the acute stress response was triggered by the sudden threat to your safety. Once you are safe, the stress response gradually subsides. I have few scenarios here, but because of time, I'm gonna go. The effect of acute stress on the body. You could have physical effects, cognitive effects, and emotional effects. Physical effects such as increased heart rate and blood pressure, rapid breathing, sweat palms, dilated pupils to enhance vision, muscle tension, upset stomach or nausea. You have cognitive effects such as heightened alertness, faster thinking, decision making under pressure, difficulty focusing on unrelated tasks, emotional effects, fear, anxiety, or panic, irritability or agitation, relief once the stressor is removed. The takeaway from acute stress is short-lived and triggered by sudden events. It activates the fight or flight response, affecting the body and mind. Scenarios include emergencies. I did not talk about the other scenarios. Treatments include deep breathing, muscle relaxation, muscle mindfulness, exercise, and reframing thoughts. If acute stress is too frequent or severe, therapy or medical support may be needed. Let's talk about chronic stress. How acute stress develop into chronic stress? Acute stress is a short-term response to a specific stress, but when the stressor persists without adequate relief, they can lead to chronic stress, a long-term state of prolonged tension and anxiety. I talked about the metaphor. The process development of acute stress into chronic stress, if you have frequent acute stress episodes, you have inability to recover between stress episodes, if you have a constant activation of the stress response, or if you have physical and mental wear and tear, you over time prolonged stressful damage, there is stressful damage mental and physical health, leading to chronic stress. Frequent acute stress episodes. If someone experiences acute stress repeatedly without full recovery, their body remains in a heightened stress response. Example, a nurse facing emergencies daily may experience repeated acute stress leading to exhaustion. Irritability to recover between stress episodes. If stressors do not subside or coping strategies are inadequate, the body remains in a state of stress, preventing relaxation. For example, a manager handling back-to-back deadlines without breaks. You have constant activation of the stress response. The body's natural stress response system, the sympathetic nervous system, leading to hormonal imbalance. You have elevated cortisol and adrenaline. The physical and mental wear and tear. Over time, prolonged stress damages mental and physical health, leading to chronic issues such as high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease, insulin resistance, digestive problems, anxiety, and depression. So chronic stress, the definition and description, chronic stress is a long-term state of persistent psychological and physiological strain due to ongoing stressors that the body and mind struggle to manage effectively. Characteristics of chronic stress, it could last weeks, months, or years. No clear resolution. Stressors continue to feel never ending. Affects physical, emotional, and mental health. It can contribute to serious health conditions such as hypertension, anxiety, depression, cardiovascular diseases. Let's discuss scenario number one. A single mother working two jobs constantly worries about making rent and affording groceries. She experiences ongoing headaches, digestive issues, and fatigue. She feels trapped in her situation. The explanation is the chronic stressor, financial instability, keeps her stress responses active, leading to physical symptoms and exhaustion. Let's take another scenario, toxic workplace environment. An employee works under a demanding boss who constantly criticizes their work and expects overtime without compensation. Over months, the employee developed insomnia, irritability, and high blood pressure. The explanation is the persistent work stress prevents relaxation and builds into chronic stress, affecting both mind and body. Another example is caregiver stress. A woman caregiver caring for her elderly parent with Alzheimer experiences ongoing anxiety, sleep disturbances, and depression. She feels overwhelmed and has no time for herself. The explanation: chronic caregiving stress without breaks lead to burnout and deteriorating health. And the last scenario is unresolved grief of trauma. A man loses his spouse and struggles to cope. Months later, he will experience lack of motivation, fatigue, and anxiety, affecting his work and relationship. Explanation: prolonged emotional distress with coping strategies result in chronic stress. So the things that affect stress on the body and mind is physical effects, cognitive effects, emotional effects, and behavioral effects. The physical effects: you have high blood pressure, which lead to increased rate of heart disease and stroke. You have digestive issues, which lead to ulcers, stomach aches, etc., IBS. Weakened immune system, more frequent illness, and there is persistent muscle tension, body aches and headaches. There is sleep disturbance, insomnia, and fatigue. Cognitive effect: difficulty concentrating and forgetfulness, racing thoughts and overthinking, poor decision making, increased negative thinking patterns. So, okay, the takeaway here. Acute stress, well, I talked about acute stress. The chronic stress is, acute stress is short time, while chronic stress is long term and ongoing. Repeated exposure to acute stress without relief leads to chronic stress. Chronic stress negatively impacts physical and mental health, leading to serious conditions like heart disease, depression, and immune system suppression. Managing chronic stress involves reducing stressors, lifestyle changes, relaxation techniques, and seeking professional help if necessary. So the conclusion: we encounter all kinds of challenges every day. Are we prepared to deal with them and to control them before they control us? We need to make you need to make your will before you get incapacitated. You buy insurance before the calamity happens. Similarly, you learn how to deal with stress by learning the Total Transformation Program and become unstoppable and ready before stress hits you. Because when stress hits you and you are not aware of it, it could then develop and become something you do not want to deal with. So the time to act is now, before a stressful event happens that you cannot deal with. Get the needed information and be ready. And then I said, you need to learn the mental success formula. We all know how to do all of these mental processes. If you have the right mindset, then you know what you want, then you can do the mental success formula and be able to get and do anything you want. And if that information is in your subconscious mind, you continue to think about it, focus on it, get emotional involved with it, it will go to the subconscious mind. You can replace your old limiting beliefs and old habits to the new limiting beliefs and new habits, the habits that you want now. You become an unconscious competent and you can achieve all your goals. And if you do that, then you see all of that is internal power. If you are internally strong, then you can deal with anything that happens externally. Stress, anxiety, and depression is only one external example. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hissin. Thank you. Wow, that was an amazing presentation you gave us today. Ooh, if anyone was here who did not quite get it, there's so many ways for you to get what was presented. It will be on the YouTube, and you can also get Dr. Hissin's book, which is on the flyer from Amazon, because it's really not something that anyone can share with you without you being able to read over and over, so you can practice it and even share with your loved ones and with your families as well, because stress is something that does not, I don't think it has an age. It attacks people. From what I heard Dr. Hissin say, you know, the example of the kid and then the couple with the 18-wheeler. So it affects anybody across the board. And it does not, I don't think there's a time that the stress actually knocks on your door to come in. No, it comes when when it's triggered. So prevention is better than cure. I gathered that. So let's be mindful. At this stage, I'm going to say it's time for comments and questions and discussions. Anything for Queen JW and for Dr. Hissin. This is the right time, please. Dr. Benny, welcome. Good to see all the beautiful faces in their house. And I see Queen Nadu is here as well. Queen Violet, Queen Jane Francis, Queen Nancy, Queen Roslyn, welcome. Trinidad and Tobago, Queen Grace. I saw Brother Alfred as well. But I just want to say welcome to everyone. Because of the presentation, we didn't get a chance to say hello to those who came before the presentation started. So welcome you once more, and over to you, Dr. Benny and Queen JW.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you. Anyway, Queen JW, could you please proceed?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Queen Dr. Benny. Appreciate you. I just want to comment on Dr. Paul's presentation. I think I was definitely in his, I think I was in his classroom. Because let me tell you, woo, I couldn't even write fast as you speak. But I know I have to get your book. Sir, thank you. You are a blessing to each and every one of us. I thank you for sharing your knowledge, your studies, your research with us. You're amazing. Thank you so much for sharing, sir. We appreciate you. We love you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just say, I was rushing. And for every word that I mentioned, as I'm sure you will say the same thing about your presentation, there is a million other words that you would have liked to mention, but because of time limitation, you cannot mention. There is no time. So there are many things I could have mentioned, but the point is about stress. If you do not recognize it, if you do not know, and this is the point, is to understand it so that when it happens, you can recognize it.
Yes, indeed.
You will know that this is stress. If you don't recognize it, and you see, that is a problem with, let's say, trauma. Trauma, something happens to you when you are young. And at that time, for some reason, you build walls around you and you live with it and so forth.
Yep.
And you begin to think this is the normal life. You continue to, and now you are still living within the walls that you built there, unless somebody shows you how to break that wall and to get out. You're going to continue to break. So you need to understand what is it so that you can recognize, hey, that is not normal. That is not normal. I should, so it is important to understand it and then know that there are ways to get out of it. With stress, you can immediately ignore it.
Yeah.
If you have chronic stress, anxiety, depression, and so forth, you can also reverse those. But of course, as it came down, it's going to have to go up step by step. It's going to take more time. So it is much better to stop it right at the end before it goes down.
Yes,
So
indeed.
it is very important. And the thing is, if you are strong mentally and socially, you know how to deal with people and the environment, stress is not going to affect you because
Yeah.
you're going to ignore it. It's going to happen. There is no question. We all live in the same world. It's going to happen, but you're going to know, and you're going to know how to deal with it and ignore it.
Amen. And you gave us enough. I think you gave enough examples, and I like the way how you go back to the pictures. You know, you kept on going back, so it helped us to put it in our minds, and it was amazing. You did it at a good time. It's an awesome presentation, and you gave us a lot of information and you repeated it. So it wasn't like it was something different, but it was going back. Hey, this is the stress, this chronic stress, anxiety, chronic, acute anxiety, acute, chronic anxiety. So you showed us how the stress, if we don't stop it from the beginning, it can be a devastating end. So thank you so much. I'm still going to get your book because this information, we would never have gotten it if Dr. Derek didn't introduce you to us on this amazing platform. Thank you, and may God continue to bless you and use you in mighty ways.
There is something that I use all the time, and that is repetition. Repetition is truly the mother of learning.
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Queen JW. Anyway, before I come back to you, first I want to really welcome each and everyone, just like Queen Debbie did. And I want to thank our Heavenly Father for bringing all of us this evening. It is very important to thank him. Despite the fact that maybe he didn't give you food to eat, but he gave you the strength, right? For you to go out there, he gave you that knowledge and wisdom, the 5 senses that Dr. Paul talked about. For you to go now, think about it and go prepare food for yourself. Anyway, I just want to thank him for what he has done and what he will continue to do to everybody. Queen JW, I will say, despite the fact that I came, unfortunately, I did not come on. I didn't see you, but I know that you did your best. I will say, extraordinary presentation, a mindset, sorry. And the reason I'm saying extra is because of when it comes to mindset, our CEO loves mindset. Likewise, King Dr. Derek, mindset to him, there's nothing else that is important to him but the mindset. So I want to thank you so much. Thank you so much. And our presenter for tonight, first of all, I want to thank God for bringing you here. I want to thank Dr. Derek also for bringing our Dr. Paul here. We appreciate his presentation. When it comes to this stress, it is important for all of us to know the importance of stress, what we should do to take care of ourselves. Just like Queen Debbie said, prevention is better than cure. Yes. We need to prevent ourselves. Get up in the morning, you need to go and exercise. You need to eat. You need to, when you are not happy, try to talk to somebody. Sometimes when you have problems, when you talk to somebody that you know, I mean, even though you shouldn't really talk too much to your problems to your friends, because sometimes they will sit behind and laugh at you. Isn't it, Dr. Paul? They will sit there and be laughing at you. So sometimes we try to just, if I have my problem, since I know that people are out there, they'll be laughing at me. Sometimes I just say a little bit. But there are people who have problems and they want you to listen. When they come to you as a counselor or something like that, like when I tell you my problem and you listen to it, then I feel better. I want to appreciate you. You, Queen JW said that you have a lot, and you also mentioned to us that you have plenty, but because of the time. Hey, it's okay, because we know that you can come next week, right? Week after next, like you just bring like 5 points this week, 5 points next week, isn't it, Queen Debbie? Just like that. We need you, because when it comes to this stress, we need help. But I want to thank God for bringing you here. And I will really say astonishing presentation. Come back again next week. Thank you. We love you. Hey, my friends, did anybody say they love you today? This evening, this morning, when you wake up? Hey, if they did not say it, as Queen Lerato will say, I love you. Oh, thank you so much, Queen Debbie, for for giving me the time to, to share my opinion, to express myself. Thank you, Queen Debbie McCormick.
Thank you for loving me.
Queen Violet. Thank you, Dr. Penny. I just love your spirit. We have every child in this family, and God has blessed us with every finger, every shape and size. So the motivation and the energy level that we have is just boundless, and the blessings that we have is boundless, in the sense that we are blessed right now during this month of March with Dr. Hissin, and I hope he continues to come here, because your topic, what you just shared with us today, is something that we need on a regular basis. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time, that you're sharing your knowledge with us as ONPASSIVians. And believe me, when the right time comes, when the green apples come, your book is going to go viral. You can trust me on that, because this platform will make sure that we sing the praises of what you did when we were hibernating. So thank you once more for being with us. All right, any questions? Anyone has any question for any of our two presenters before we move on? I don't see any hand up. We appreciate you, and we'll just call on Queen JW to give us her final thoughts, and we'll call on Dr. Hissin to give us his final thoughts as well. And then we'll get to the next stage of our webinar. But in the interim, Queen JW, are you ready to fire us with your final thoughts for your wonderful presentation? You're muted. You're muted. If not, we can come back, Queen JW. We can have Dr. Hissin, you can proceed, and then we'll go back to Queen JW when she's ready. Please, with your final thoughts.
Well, it is really very simple. Stress is not new to any of us. We have no control over it. It happens all the time. But the point is, if you know what you want, it all comes to, do you know what you want? Do you know what is your highest value? Do you know what is your purpose in life? Are you doing what you're supposed to be doing? Do you have the right mindset? The mindset that 95% of success is what you think and not what you do. If you have a can-do attitude, then I have provided you with the mental success formula, where if you think about it, focus on it, fall in love with it, get emotionally involved with it, that thought, whatever you want, will enter your mind, and the mind will inspire you to get whatever knowledge you need. If you have the knowledge and you know where to get it and you know how to do it, then you can do anything, anything. And if you understand how the subconscious mind, then if you continue to think about it, you can replace your old habits and your limiting beliefs, the beliefs that are stopping you from doing what you want. If you change your habit to the new habit, which is what you want now, then this is your mental resilience. You can do anything. then whatever stress happen, and if you know how to deal with other people, you have social resilience, then whatever happens will be so minuscule because you are so busy doing what you want to do. You are in love with what you want to get. You're looking at the horizon. You're not looking at what these little things that happen. So it is where your mind is. What are you thinking about? If you're not doing anything, that whatever happens to you is going to be so big. But if you're thinking about big things, what you want, what God wants you to do, then whatever else happens is so minute. And that is the thing that I like to convey to everybody. We all have the same mind. The only difference between each of us is the information that we put in our mind, because that information makes us aware, brings us awareness. So put the right information in your mind, and that is what you will become. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Martin. Thank you
Amazing.
once more. Queen JW, over to you for your final thoughts, please.
Yes, indeed. As we know, our heart is so special. And we have to keep it in good condition because that's what our Heavenly Father looks at. He looks at our heart. So we want, like Dr. Paul stated, once we get the right information into our minds, we will be able to activate and do the things that we're supposed to do to protect ourselves. So no matter what heart condition we face or you face, God is the ultimate healer, the comforter, and the source of strength. Combining faith, prayer, and wise health choices brings peace and hope in the journey to recovery. And I just want to leave with a scripture: a new heart, spiritually and physically. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. And I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh. Ezekiel 36, verse 26. Thank you so much. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate you, Queen Debbie, and Dr. Derek, and Queen Dr. Benny, and King Dr. Paul, and all the affiliates and slash ambassadors. I appreciate Deep Dive. I appreciate Ash Mafari. I appreciate this amazing platform and this journey of ONPASSIVE. So thank you so much, and do have a beautiful evening. Enjoy the rest of the webinar.
Thank you, Queen JW. As you ended your thoughts with a scripture, I just want us to have in our prayers the family of Chuju. Chuju is a woman that Dr. Benny, Sister Yvonne, and I met at the Singapore, Malaysia Global. She passed on this morning, and she had been sick. She used to be in the Asia Pacific platform with Francis Tay, and also in the Singapore, Malaysia Global team with Mabel Chan, Ginny, and Joanne, all of us. That's where I met all of them. So, and she actually helped me 2 years ago. I had a niece in Singapore who needed money, and she helped me with that transaction. So she also sent me a T-shirt, an ONPASSIVE sweatshirt for the Singapore team, because we were really into Singapore then. So we should just pray for our families, our global ambassadors, those who are sick and those who have transitioned, that God should grant the strength to their families to care for them and to continue to move on as they leave them behind. So I'm not going to belabor this. I'm going to say, Queen Dr. Benny, before I pass it over to Dr. Derek, I'll say thank you once more for all you do on a regular basis every Tuesday and Thursday on this platform. We really appreciate you very, very much. Thank you. And Dr. Derek, thank you so much, not only for giving us the platform, but also for making sure that we have speakers with content. We are so honored and blessed that Dr. Hissin is here with us, and we hope you continue to encourage him to come back and educate us. And please, Dr. Derek, if I may call on you to give us the closing remarks and close the YouTube, that would be awesome. Thank you. Yes, Dr. Benny.
Yes, before Dr. Derek comes back, Queen JW mentioned something that she was impressed of what Dr. Paul said by, like going back and forward, showing what stress was, acute, and everything. The vision is what matters for people to see. That is why I say it is really good for you to come and present. You know how Dr. Derek will always come with a PowerPoint presentation, right? Queen JW enjoys Dr. Paul's presentation because she sees it visually. People should start understanding that you should not just come and just and then go. But people want to see something in order to understand. That is what I was thinking of. I was thinking to come back again and talk about it. Thank you. Thank you so much, King Dr.
Amen.
Paul. Oh, yes. Thank you, Queen JW, for your acknowledgement.
Thank you, Dr. Benny. Over to you, Dr. Derek, if you could, if you can kindly give closing remarks to our YouTube viewers, please, Dr. Derek, and thank you for the platform once more.
Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. All right. Thank you very much, Queen Jacqueline Warner. Really appreciate. That was awesome mindset. And thank you very much, King Dr. Paul Hissin. Thank you very much. Oh my goodness. This is some top shelf information that you are giving us. We have to now anoint you as the professor. All right. So it has to be now Professor um, Paul, because oh my goodness, that is really some top shelf information that you divulged to us. Yes, last week and this week. Thank you very much for making it deep dive. Really appreciate, really appreciate, really appreciate. Thank you all, kings and queens. Really appreciate you also making it deep dive once again. And those that is on the YouTube platform, really appreciate you also coming out and making it deep dive. Remember, the weekend is here upon us, and every weekday we do have webinars going at 1 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time with the twin Ivans, Queen Dr. Ivan and Queen Ivan Finn. Over this weekend, we have Sunday Dream Team at 12:45 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And we thank you all very much for joining us then. And next week, Monday, we kick off Monday evening with Miriam Edwards EA with Mindset Monday. And then Tuesday and Thursday, once again, it will be Deep Dive. Thank you all very much. Really appreciate all of you. And those that are on YouTube, you have yourself a wonderful night, a wonderful evening, a wonderful day, as the case may be in your neck of the woods. We now turn it over to Queen Nadu, who is our after party DJ. Thank you all very much for coming out. And thank you again, Queen Jacqueline Warner and King Professor Paul.